Wow. Donald Trump's top officials just fell apart under tough questioning during a U.S. Senate hearing about Trump's illegal war in Iran. During a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, Donald Trump's top intelligence official, Tulsi Gabbard, and Donald Trump's CIA chief, John Ratcliffe, were grilled about the reasons behind this illegal war and whether they had warned Donald Trump about the risks of this war and that it could spin out of control. Exactly what's happening right now. I want you to watch what happened at this Senate hearing. Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff grilled Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Watch how she answered. Play this clip.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to the president
here's the problem.
Based on a volume
no,
of information
it is precisely
that he receives.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, you represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement. And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the question.
It is the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume
You're here
of
to be
information
timely,
and intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House. Let me ask you about...
Very pathetic indeed. Great cross-questioning there by Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff. More tough questioning right here from Jon Ossoff. Let's play it.
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
right.
Correct? That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes?
Yes.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st.
Next, you have Democratic Senator Kelly questioning John Ratcliffe, the CIA chief, and Tulsi Gabbard. Here are their answers to his very simple questions. Let's play this clip.
Or did he just disregard it? And I just want to point out something that was released about 6 days ago. This is a fundraising email from the president of the United States. And in this email here, where there's multiple links to donate money. It says, as a national security briefing member, you'll receive my private national security briefings. Director Gabbard or Director Radcliffe, do you think the public should be able to, supporters of the president should be able to pay and receive his private national security briefings? I assume these are briefings, Director Radcliffe, that you provide to the president that is now going to be provided to somebody who makes a
regardless
donation.
of what that I don't know what that document is, but regardless of what it says, it didn't happen.
Oh, no, this is new.
But what I'm telling you is that the Hatch Act would prevent me from an apolitical role from engaging in that. I'm not aware that anything like that happened.
Yeah, this says unfiltered updates. So, Director Gabbard, do you have any comment on whether unfiltered updates of private national security briefings should be made to individuals that donate to the president?
I'm not familiar with that document, and
It's been made very public 6 days ago. We'll get you a copy here, because I agree with you, Director Ratcliffe, that the Hatch Act should prohibit this type of conduct. Thank you.
Senator Langford.
More from Senator Kelly right here. Let's play it.
And is it accurate that China is continuing to receive preferential oil flows from Iran despite the conflict, as Iran allows its own tankers to transit the strait? Director Gabbard, I'm going to go back and forth between the two of you.
there has been some reporting of China, India, and other countries being able to move their tankers through the strait. However, it is unclear the volume or the measure of that.
Okay, so it sounds like it's accurate. Thank you. I'm going to move on. Director.
Here, Senator Kelly just wants to know at a very basic level whether Donald Trump is even getting intelligence updates at all. Do you even brief Donald Trump? Do you know what your job is at the CIA as the Director of National Intelligence? You're claiming that you don't give threat assessments and that you can't share whether or not your threat assessments are correct. Are you sharing information with Donald Trump? Is he even asking you? Let's watch this clip.
Director Gabbard, you tweeted yesterday that President Trump concluded there was an imminent threat and made a decision to attack Iran after carefully reviewing all of the information before him. I think the country deserves to know what the information was. I'm going to ask a series of questions and just want a yes or no. We don't need any explanation, just yes or no, starting with, were you asked, I'm not asking if you did brief this, were you asked to brief on whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz?
I'm not going to comment on what the president did or didn't ask me on any topic.
I'm not asking if you briefed it. I'm just asking if there was a request
I understand
by the White
that.
House. Director Ratcliffe, were you asked to brief on whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz?
The briefings to the president of the White House typically don't come at the request of the White House. So typically when we get intelligence that we want the president to be aware of, the intelligence community brings that to the president.
Did you produce the analysis for the Straits of Hormuz?
There has been and continues to be analysis with respect to that.
Were you asked to brief on how our adversaries and allies would respond to the war in Iran? I imagine I'll get the same answer. So it's just to point out here, it's challenging to forget about actually what was in the brief for a second. We're having a hard time finding out not only if you briefed the president on something, but even if the White House asked if they could be briefed on something or if analysis was produced. So
we have Senator Reid cross-examining Tulsi Gabbard. Let's play this clip.
Regime in Iran now trying to promote the deceased Ayatollah as a martyr who should be followed, and does that help them consolidate support?
Senator, the Iranians are certainly using that as a call to action. The effects of that from an intelligence standpoint remain to be seen.
There is a tradition in Shia, though, to honor martyrs. One of their greatest celebrations is the martyrdom of the grandson of Muhammad. Is that correct?
That's right.
So we might have played into their cultural biases erroneously.
Then we hear from Democratic Senator Warner, and he's asking why Tulsi Gabbard. In your written remarks, you said, though you skipped this part during your opening statement, it's written down that Iran has made no attempt to rebuild its nuclear enrichment abilities since the earlier strikes last June, and so they were not an immediate threat. It's right there in your written report. So why didn't you read it out loud when the cameras were on you? Did you think we wouldn't ask you about it? Here, play this.
Let me move to Iran. Now, I understand, and I appreciated Director Gabbard's comments yesterday about agreeing that the president has sole authority, I guess, in his bones to declare whether something is an imminent threat. I didn't agree with your friend, Mr. Kent, but I didn't, again, I agreed with him yesterday on the fact that there was no imminent threat. I guess what I'm concerned about, one thing is, even in your printed testimony today on page 6, and your last paragraph on page 6, as a result of Operation Midnight Hammer, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There's been no efforts to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. You omitted that paragraph from your oral opening. Was that because the president had said there was an imminent threat 2 weeks?
No, sir, I recognize that the time was running long, and I skipped through some of the
So
portions
you chose to take
my oral delivered remarks.
You chose
sir.
to omit the parts that contradict the president.
More questioning here from Senator Warner of Tulsi Gabbard. And notice that they kept basically saying these Trump loyalists, these Trump witnesses. Oh, we never saw that. I don't know about this. I never read this. Oh, I don't know anything about that. Here, play this clip.
The president continues to say as well that he had no idea, was shocked that the Iranians had moved to take over the Strait of Hormuz. Did you provide any intelligence that would say that it would be that it was not likely that the Iranians would try to move on the strait?
I'm not aware of those remarks, and I think those of us here at the table can point to the fact that historically the Iranians have always threatened to leverage their control over
Why would the president say he was amazed?
I'm not aware of those remarks.
What about the comments the president made that thought that he was surprised again, reports that Iran struck the adjacent Gulf states?
Again, I'm not aware of those remarks. We have
well, let me ask you this. Did you brief the president? Did you brief the president?
Decisions.
Did you brief the president if he starts a war of choice, that the likely result would be that Iran would strike adjacent Gulf nations and close the Strait of Hormuz? Did you brief him on those two facts that I think have been consistently the assumptions of the intelligence community?
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations. I will say that those of us within the intelligence community continue to provide the president with all of the best objective intelligence available to inform his decisions.
Senator, let's show you some questioning from Senator King right here. Can you give us an update on whether Russia is giving information to Iran about American targets, about plans to kill Americans? Does that worry you, Tulsi? And she repeats this Trump talking point. Well, if they're doing it, they're not really doing a good job. I'm not sure what war you're watching right now, but America is stuck in a total mess right now. Here, play this clip.
Status on the intelligence on Russian intelligence sharing with Iran in the current conflict? What do we know?
Senator, if there is that sharing going on, that would be an answer that would be appropriate for a closed session.
Well, it's been in the public press. This is open source that it's occurring. Is it occurring?
Again, if it is occurring, that would be an answer appropriate for a closed session. What I can tell you is that according to the Department of War, any support that Iran may be receiving is not inhibiting their operational effects.
Okay, that's sort of the first cousin of a yes, I guess.
Here's more questioning from Senator King right here where he says, Donald Trump's been saying publicly that nobody knew, that this was never even thought of, that Iran might strike their Arab neighbors with American bases in them if America attacked Iran, or that Iran would shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Did you not know that? Because pretty much everybody knew that. So tell us about that, Tulsi. Tell us about that, Ratcliffe. Here, play this clip.
Epic fury. I think that's what's most important.
Any predictions to the president about the Strait of Hormuz? All you got to do is look at a map, and you'll see that the vulnerability of the Strait of Hormuz was that part of the briefing, Director Gabbard?
I think the Director Ratcliffe made the point here is that this has long been an assessment of the IC, that Iran would likely hold the Strait of Hormuz as leverage.
And my question is, was that communicated to the president in the lead up to this action?
And it's because of that longstanding assessment that the IC has continued to report that the Department of War took the preemptive planning measures that it did.
Well, they've stated that they did not plan for the Strait of Hormuz. The president said, who knew that was going to happen? Anyway, let's move on. Does the president take a...
More questioning here from Senator Warner. And Senator Warner is asking, so, you were involved in an FBI operation to seize ballots in Georgia. Where does your authority come from to get involved in domestic law enforcement work? And she's like, oh, I never actually was involved in it. I was just there watching, and I was just there observing, but I wasn't actually involved in it. I don't even know what was happening. Here, play this clip.
Correct one of your statements that you've made multiple times, which is false. I did not participate in a law enforcement activity, nor would I, because that does not exist within my authorities.
You were present on the scene. Are the photos of you on the scene false?
I was at Fulton County, sir, at the request of the president, and to work with the FBI to observe this action.
So you were just observing. And why? What did you observe there, Tulsi? Why were you there, Tulsi, in the first place? What were you doing in Georgia? More questions here from Democratic Senator Kelly. Watch as he says, so you're all aware that Russia is making huge amounts of money right now from this war in Iran, right? They're the ones benefiting a lot from this while Americans are being killed. And Donald Trump is lifting these sanctions against Russia so they can sell their oil and make more money while they're targeting Americans with Iranians. What do you say to that? Play this clip.
That brings us to the war with Iran. So this has created one of the largest ever supply shocks to the global oil supply, which has sent gas prices skyrocketing for Americans. But not everybody is losing. Directors Gabbard and Ratcliffe, is it accurate that Russia has gained billions of dollars in additional oil revenue due to price spikes as a result of the war and loosened sanctions? Director Gabbard.
That is what has been reported. I'd defer to the Director of Secretary of Treasury and Energy on that front for details.
Director Ratcliffe.
Yeah, I'm not an economist, not going to try and do those calculations. But as I talked about earlier, sometimes there are decisions made that will benefit adversaries. At the same time, policymakers think that it will benefit the American people.
It's clear, I think we'd all agree that sanctions were loosened, and that means more money into the coffers of Vladimir Putin.
move on. Does the president take a daily brief from the intelligence community? This is a yes or no question, I think.
Yeah, the president, I would say, Senator, in my estimation, on average, I brief the president of the United States on intelligence probably on average 10 to 15 times a week, where I have conversations with him about specific discrete issues. Sometimes there are dedicated sessions that last hours in length. Sometimes I'm briefing him on specific issues, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. But I would say on average, my interactions where I'm briefing the president on important national security matters happens probably on average 10 to 15 times per week.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about this all. Hit subscribe